right, hey guys, how we doing? Sam here with you. It's Thursday, December 20th. All right, so as we now alternate days, today's a day for traditional assets, and by request, we've got a look here at gold. So I've got the very long term here. So this is the 3-day chart on gold, just to give it some perspective as to where we are. So I'm going all the way back to the 99 low to our high up here. So we've come right to the 50, and it looks like a little structure here came into play as well. So essentially, we've hit a 50, and now we're going to get into this in a little bit. But just to give you a sense of where we are and where the potential targets are here, I happen to be long-term very bullish of gold. So it may take a while to get there, but I think that it can't be ignored. Now, how are we going to get there? Well, it does look like we've got, this is a pretty textbook flat. Now, it's a hell of a C, but I got a nice little 3 followed by a 3. We can dig 5 out of there. So I've got a nice little 3, 3, 5 right to my 50. When we actually got through the 50, and the structure seems to have held it rather nicely. Now, what's happening here? So if this is correctly identified, and this is just the corrective wave of this entire bull run, well, ideally, we're looking for something to get started here. It would appear like we have the potential here for just a diagonal to be getting started here. We could get an impulse here. So if we're going to get up to these kind of levels here, it seems like we're trying to carve out a 1-2 here. So let's go. Let's see if I can do it. I can show it to you in an 8-hour. All right, yes, it's a rather tricky count actually. So here's the tag of the 50. So here's the 50. Here we get through a little bit. Now we start up. Now it looks like we get a pretty solid 5 here in the 1. This is a little squirrely. It looks to me like we get an expanded flat here, like we get that. So it seems to be a lot of flats going on in here. So I think we get A, B, C into the B. All right, so that would be and we get 1, 2, 3. Got to really dig for the 5 there, but let's get that down here, something reasonable. Okay, so it looks like we go 3, A, B, C, and then we're up for the 5 there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this gives us so here's the impulsive move off of the low. Now now it gets a little tricky. So. Boy, it's kind of challenging on this A wave here. So I've looked at multiple variations because of this straight. So I remember this well because I was long gold. So here's the election night. So this is when people thought Clinton was going to win, and when they realized Trump was going to be our president. I remember this well because I went to bed long gold and then got stopped out. But so you have a bit of this distortion here. So I think the better way, with the WXY, I think the better way is just give it an ABC, because this move down here, so you can actually see. So here was the start off, then the rip up, and then the straight down. So I think the better way, probably a couple of different ways to count it, but I think if we just, I think at its, the structure here is 3. So we get an ABC. So this is a corrective move off of this move here. Now, of course, we break the golden zone. We go deep for this. What I think we end up here is a WXY. So just making a giant 2. There is no clean impulse after this 1. So what I think we end up with here, I think this is all we're doing here, is just that we're just getting a big, well, here it would be this way. So we just got a big ABC. You can think of it that way. Now there's a lot of complexity here. So to put it into Elliott terminology, it would appear that we go ABC into a W, ABC into our X wave here. So we have a good candidate for the X, seeing as we want to see that depth of retracement of the W. But then immediately following, it looks like ABC again. So here would be another flat. So we go A, B, C, A, B. It does look like there's a diagonal here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we end up, we doubled. You could call it a triple top, quadruple top. Really, it does look like we go 3. So we get, so from here we've got A, B. Now we've got to allow for this. It's a shallow C. It's true. it's truncated. Technically, this is a little bit higher here, but this straight rip up looks like a good A, 3 into the B, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I don't see another way to count that. So if this is the X, so the assumption is this is the X here. So then we go A, B, so A, B, C into the B, and then we come down for the final C. That gives us a candidate here for our 2. So this bit of it is what's a little tricky here. Looks like we go A, B, C. So we get an expanded flat yet again. It's a little unusual, but so W, X, A, B, C into a Y. And then from that, so note here as I look at it, so as we get from our swing low to our swing high, yes, we break the first time. We know a 2 wave can go that deeply. But then after we go through all of this correction of action, what do we get? We actually broke it by a tick. So we're at the 65, but coming off of that, looks like we have a nice leading diagonal to get started here. So I'm going to go from the 8-hour to the 4-hour. Take a look at this. This gives us some context of where we are. So here's our candidate here. Now, as I recall, this was so from this absolute low here. So that's where you want to see that 4. So ideally, so we have so we have an ABC in here, ABC into the 4. It looks like you could go AB and the C is still underway. So from this 50, you can see the algo play is already coming. It looks like they're taking a little profit now. So you would look at this and say, okay, if that's our pivot here, so from swing low, swing high, I've got a candidate for a leading diagonal. Right now, we don't know yet that we're done here, but it would appear that we've got some sort of a diagonal going in. So the 2, 3, 4, and 5 all still yet to come. Let's take those down a degree. Put those in sub-minuet. Okay, so there we go. So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is still going. Look and see if there's another way to count this. If we could have 1, 2, this could be the 3. Possible. Right now, no reason to assume anything other than we've got a diagonal going in. Now, if this just continues to rip higher, if we've got more legs here, then we might revisit this. Look for relabeling, but right now we can certainly have the extension here in a fifth. Right? We're not getting crazy here. And you've got a nice channel to work with here. All right, so we got all of this now. We're looking for a pivot. So remember, algos don't care about the Elliott count. They don't care where we are. They're just working from dominant pivots. So swing high to swing low. Well, we're just running into the 50 and getting through it. Excuse me. Now we get a little structure here that might come into play as we approach the 618. If we're coming up that high, if we're going to get those kind of legs, you might look at it this way additionally in terms of where some target range is. So we take the length of the 1 through the 3, projected from the 4. The 100 is a very reasonable target here for diagonal. So this area certainly would be of interest, not necessarily for a short sale. I don't know that I would trade it that way. I wouldn't. Yes, there's a trade there, but what I'm trying to do is get on the long side. So you could trade this on the short side. You know, I'm not saying don't do it. I probably would not take that trade. I'm a long-term bull. So what I'm looking for, if I'm going to get a pivot here, I'm looking for that next entry because I want to be there for that. Not that there isn't a trade here, right? So it's just that's individual choice. Just my preference would be look at it as a target rather than an entry. So if we pivot down here, I'm looking for the retracement. So let me pull some of this off. So I'll take this off just to clear it up. We know where the candidate is here, so we know this is right approximately our 618. So if we're going to get up there and get that pivot there, I'm looking for this, and this is the one I want. So I don't know that we necessarily go there, but that would be an ideal spot. So look at the confluence we get here. So here's the larger degree 50 right in front of that 618. So if we get something like that, that's the one I want. I want that one. All right, now that could take 2 months to do that. It could take longer than that. Here, so the first assumption is we're going to get to this level here. That's already 1283. What are we sitting at? 1265. So that could happen in a hurry. This could take a month easily. to correct that. Could take more. But then the play here that I'm looking for is in this zone. I want it here. Between the 50 and the 618. That's the trade that I'm looking for. So I would be looking, let this pivot up here. Let that pivot, and then I'd be waiting patiently. So this, you don't need to babysit this, but I would certainly want to know as we start to come down. So just obvious spots here. So you might use some of this structure here. That reasonable target for the A wave, right? AB. Come down here. We get. There's a pivot I'd want to know about. So if we're going to come to this level here, so that's a reasonable place for an alert. So that as we're approaching the 50, at least I'm notified of it. Do I like what I see here? What's the structure here? Can I get my ABC? Can I get all of the conditions, all that subdivision? If this looks good here, I think that's a very reasonable trade. I'm looking for a fairly substantial move there. So just to do wrong one. Just a quick split the difference here just for the sake of looking, and that's assuming just second algo target. So we could be below the 65 there. There's 9.5 to 1, and that's assuming we don't get the full Monty, which would be up here to the 1618. Now we've got 12.73 to 1. Yeah, I'll wait for that. But additionally, I'm a bull. I'm a gold bull, so I don't. Yeah, there's a trade there, right? So I might, if depending on what's happening there, that's something worth considering here. But if we're gonna get this retraced, that's really what I'm waiting for, right? So that's the juicy one. This, well, shit, man, if you get the pivot there, 1280 to 1223, nothing wrong with that. But this is the one I would wait for, right? And then you could, of course, as soon as we get that pivot, then we can start doing this kind of thing and see how that looks. So you can do it with a channel. I mean, some people prefer the channel. I prefer the median line. So if we got that, then we have a candidate here. Actually, now as I pull this back out, let me take that out because what do we have here? Right here, we have a potential. Well, let me take it back out. Let's see. 8 hour, can I do it? No, I guess not. Let's try. Let me go to a 12. Okay, let's reset that. So what do we have here? So from the pivot high to this, get it right on there. Well, there, bear with me a sec. It's worth doing these. Let's get that right on it. There we go. You can do it with the magnet, but I find that thing a little annoying. It's so strong. Okay, so we're spot on there. All right, so what do we have here is a potential golden corner pocket. So what does that mean? That means 80%, as long as, here's the caveat, as long as that pivot holds, 80% probability of getting to that median line. All right, now we don't know when, right? Could be, we don't know when. Right, it's just that you're going to get there. So where's the big three? Up here. So if we were to get that, right? So this is what a trader lives for, right? To get entered into something like that, knowing you've got this kind of potential. Right? You want to make your 2019? There's 32 to 1. Right? Nothing fancy. Right, just a longer time frame. Golden corner pocket. We know we have 80% odds. Right, we don't know when. Right? But as long as that, so the way I look at that, I say as long as that pivot holds, I'm a buyer. I'm on the long side. If this pivot breaks, different story. But right now, right, that's what I'm after. That's 1700. So you might look at that and say, oh, shit, man, I don't know if I want to tie up that much capital. What do you do it with options? A lot of different ways to do it. And I happen to be doing it here in a CFD for a Forex trader. So if you have a Forex account, you can put something on like that on. You want to do it in futures? Well, you can do it with options. I know if you're not familiar with options, that's a whole, we're gonna get there on our stuff, but that's a deep dive. But that would certainly be an option for you here. Or if you're going to try and trade for the big one, you want to trade some smaller size here since the risk reward is so huge, because the whole idea is just to get positioned in, give it enough room so you're not stopped out, and then just see if you can withstand, if it starts to go, the temptation to take profit, which will be overwhelming. That's the reality of it. That's what makes the market move, right? Fear and greed. So greed. So here's what happens when you're in that trade. Greed has you continually looking at that. Fear has every little retracement going, oh shit, oh I better get out. Right, I would tell you, right? That's very hard to do, to sit through all of that, because it won't go straight. There'll be all sorts of retracements along the way. But if you can get yourself positioned here, plenty of places to take partials, right? So you bank, so you get rewarded for doing the analysis and setting that up. And if you get the pivot there, we don't. This is purely, hypothetical here. We don't know that we get that, but the conditions for it are certainly there. So you got a potential home run ball setting up. 32 to 1. Right, very hard to hold through that. That could take 3 years. No way to know, right? So how long did this take? How long did the 2 take? That's a pivot in 16, and potentially now we're putting that's 2 years here. All right, if we have this properly identified, but we can certainly sustain this as long as that pivot holds. I'm a bull. Right, there we go. So that should give you enough to work with. So kind of an interesting. It's tough to get a count on here. Not an easy count, but as I see it, I think that's reasonable here. Nothing invalidates anything. This is a little bit unusual here, that we'd have this B wave be on the X, but it plays as a flat, A, B, C. All right, there we go. So I'd be looking on the buy side if you get the opportunity here. We get a little retrace here. Right now we're cranking straight higher. So next retrace would be one to be paying attention to. My view. I'll be there. Okay, guys, that's it for now.